really, honestly, Huck's going to be getting very suspicious at this point. He's only seen 2 lings. Queen was blocking at the front. He's probably going to assume either banelings or roaches, and as we see 6 roaches coming, Idra is going to have a very, very thin timing window to win with this attack.
And really to just take appreciation to how much detail Idra is putting into this build specifically. He had the drones mining right there, went to exactly like 136 or whatever, a little bit over, and then had enough just for those 5-6 roaches to come out. Went back to minerals and is just now starting to put back on gas. So just like the thought of being that meticulous really just goes to show how much he's probably practiced this one particular build.
Now if we go to the Huk cam, we'll see exactly where his focus is. He does have 2 sentries. Here comes the roaches up the ramp.
Oh.
And wow, very nice timing. So that 1 force field is going to be the key that might help keep Huk alive for a little while longer. Looks like, Idra now advancing up. Now this could potentially be hazardous for Idra, as that does look like it's going to be a free roach kill. Huk throwing down force fields very far down the ramp as to not give any extra vision.
Yeah, and Idra also trying to bring this Overlord up from just north of the position that they're in. In the meantime, there are actually no additional units coming out here, and speed is being researched as well. The Overlord, I kind of assumed, like, maybe try to give vision at this point. Is there any reason why he wouldn't want to be trying to do that?
Well, I suppose he knows that Huk is getting a good amount of just general units, general zealots, sentries, stalkers. If he does try to be too crazy and too aggressive with these slow roaches, he could get himself killed. Look at how slow these roaches are off creep without that speed upgrade. Roach is one of the few units that has like 10 different speeds. There's without speed, on creep, with speed, without creep, etc., etc., etc. So, of course, in the slowest of situations, want to run home.
And when everything is said and done in the opening 7.5 minutes of this game, Idra just protects himself early on, sets himself up with some nice defense here, has a spine crawler down now as well. Over in Huk's base, he continues to just get those units ready. Some more sentries being added. He's decided to stick, of course, with the 3 stalkers, and he does have immortals coming out as well.
Now, I think what Huk is realizing is that his opponent just went for some very fancy roach into expo play. He was low on larva, so of course Idra going to respond by building a bunch of spine crawlers. And in particular, the only thing Idra really can do against this big push that's coming is a whole bunch of Zerglings. So Huk is going to actually wait an unusually long time. He's going to wait for +1, wait till he has 2 immortals, and then try to do one very large, big all-in attack. And that should be enough to swamp over your average Zerg, but Idra is, of course, one of the best in the world, so we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, very reactionary, too, always keeping that sort of perfect amount of units out there just to skirt by, and then delivering the units when he really needs to. Now taking another gas here at his expansion as well. Over, we do see, we start to see the mover and the shaking happening here by Huk. He's going to leave this 1 immortal behind to catch up with the whole army, and he does have +1. It has finished. So Observer coming out, he's going to push forward, get whacked a couple times here by, wow, he's going to go in for the push right away.
Wow, and then immediately throwing down Guardian Shields, trying to advance forward. He does want to pick off those spine crawlers, trying to keep the roaches as far in the back as he can. 2 immortals up at the front lines. More and more Zerglings being produced. All the zealots are dead. He desperately needs to get more zealots in there. But now he is in a full-out retreat. Idra is screaming units outside the front of this base. And poor Huk, his timing window is lost. He needs to get more zealots onto the front field to reinforce. As we can see, Idra has plenty of Zerglings, and the 3 spine crawlers were just enough.
And roach speed is going down right now for Idra to help out in those battles as well. He's going to move forward these spine crawlers. Really curious to know if he's going to remake any of those, or if he was satisfied with the killing that he did there. We do have more immortals coming out to continue to pad that army, and the rocks have been broken here, setting Idra up for a 3rd base. The Observer is going to peek in there. Notice it's not up yet, but I gotta guess that's one of the things that Idra's always got on the back of his mind.
Absolutely. Idra has some very smart Overlord positioning. I mean, this is a seemingly random location for an Overlord, but he can see these rocks as other Overlord can see this expansion. So Idra has a good sense of where Huk is at, and most importantly, he can always suicide this Overlord in if he needs to, or even just wait for speed.
And of course, doing that, you know, in the middle of the game, just to like get an idea of what your opponent is doing, see any tech switches, what might be coming out, size of the army, composition, etc. A lot of guys will argue that it's okay to sack those OBs in order to get that info. The army of Huk continues to grow over here in Idra's base. Oh, they are gonna get one Zergling who's going out. We got Idra kind of moving forward here, off of the creep, almost away. Thoughts on that, Dave?
Well, it looks like he's positioning himself, again, a very strong tactic. Almost always is just to move your army forward and then move your army back. In that forward movement, your opponent is very likely to overreact, build a little bit too much. But of course, it looks like Huk is almost committed to making units for both defense and offense. So we see the double gas going down right now. More sentries, more zealots, and Huk is actually looking pretty limited in the number of options that he has. He lost so many zealots with that first push, and wow, Idra is very responsible about observer sniping.
We also have the Hydralisk Den about ready to complete here for Idra, so possibly another big macro game combination, safe to play and win. You know, curious to see. You talk a lot about Huk's Colossus and how that would come into play. It looks like we might have a push here. Roaches are going to come out and attack.
And the Zerglings do run into the Zealots. That's not where Idra wanted to be. Some decent force fields, but more and more Roaches swinging around the top side. The Immortals all managed to stay alive, but look at that production tab for Idra. Huge amounts of Zerglings being produced, and I think Idra may have mistimed this attack a little bit, but no, it doesn't even matter. His macro is outrageous, just surrounding everything with Roaches and Lings, and now Huk is scrambling to find the defense, but Idra's macro is just too good again.
Yeah, already Chrono Boost there on the gateway. Idra moves forward with the Roaches and the Lings. We got more sentries being warped in here, and Huk is going to GG.
Again, that early push that Huk did keeps throwing away just a few too many Zerglings, and Idra seems to be so vulnerable until the last second and always manages to stay alive.
We talk over and over again about that. That is just one of those things that I think can truly make you a great player. You know, I've got to make those extra spine crawlers and waste those 100, you know, those drones and stuff. But just being so good at your unit control, what you know your money's going to do, where you're at with your economy, it's just so amazing to me to see. Like, you just look at that and you almost just misread it. Like, how can any human hold this off? Like, it's crazy. And these guys do. It just is one of the things that makes them truly amazing from both of them. Congratulations.
Now, Idra is up 2-1 right now, but Huk does have the choice of map. Again, Lost Temple was his choice. And one thing to note that's a little unusual is that Idra beat Huk on Huk's choice of map, Steps of War.
Right.
And then Huk beat Idra on Idra's choice of map, Scrap Station, so that's already a very unusual result. And once DJ Wheat joins, we don't even have to do any more theory crap, and we can jump directly into possibly our final game. Huk is on the verge of elimination.
Well, I mean, he's already won $1,000. He's just getting eliminated from the chance of winning the MSI Notebook, the GT660 that we actually have been using the entire time during the broadcast, both for our games and for our encoding and for our video editing. And booyah, there it is. And we mentioned earlier it is Core i7. If you guys haven't utilized Core i7s yet.
If you don't know what this means,
very buttery.
It's awesome processing power, the Core i7.
Very, very buttery.
MSI GT660, what is on the line for these players who are going directly into Game 4, match point for Idra. If he wins this, he will be the champion and will, of course, very nobly represented Team EG here, but of course Huk from Team Liquid, spawning in very favorable positions. Huk at the north as the blue Protoss, Idra in the left position as the red Zerg.
Find it kind of interesting. In the past few outings from Idra, even notwithstanding the GSL, we've seen a lot of Ling and Muta gameplay, and in both of these games, we've seen a very heavy super army composed of Lings, Roaches, and not so much in the last game, but in the game before, Hydras. Almost reminiscent of kind of an older play that we saw a lot of Zergs doing. Obviously, the range increasing the powerfulness, you know, how powerful that army actually is. But, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, again, this really goes to show that Idra tends to ignore what the common trends are. He will practice what he thinks is best, and he will do a very good job of perfecting it. We have seen Idra do Mutalist Ling at an extremely proficient level, but now he's busting out this Roach Ling slow transition into Hydra, which seems to be working very, very well. In the meantime, we have, looks like Huk is doing a little bit of poking action as usual with that early probe. Looks like Idra is doing a very good job of not overreacting to it. Only drones that are on the return to the minerals will be moving out to attack that. Very subtle, but very smart. And there's a lot of options that Huk has because he has total knowledge of what his opponent's doing.
The pool is down for Idra at 14. We'll see what he's going to do and how Huk will react to this as he rolls around with heavy minerals there. You know, he's a baller, just kind of like you. I've seen the chains you wear, Sean.
Oh, you know me. I wear the big 9. It's about 10 pounds of pure gold.
And platinum.
No doubt.
Mixed.
Mm.
All right, we got a fight here, and the pylon does
Ouch.
go down as the 2 drones come out. Of course, one trying to attack, the other one trying to drop it. In this case, you could send one to scout, and then the other to peck away here at the pylon. In the meantime, Huk's probe, and I swear to God, his opening probe needs a nickname because he is really annoying with it.
Yeah, he has one of the most vicious start game probes of all time. We see that pylon was canceled, so Huk could throw down his cybernetics core and then proceed to get a zealot right away. Or not. He really should get a zealot, though. He's probably going to be a little bit concerned about these 4 links popping out right now. And yeah, you know, we do need to think of some sort of fancy name for the probe. If any of you forum members out there have a suggestion, we would love it if you posted it.
Yes, let us know on Twitter at DJWeed at Day9TV.
Indeedy do.
All right, we've got the expansion going down over here. Of course, the hatchery nearing completion. Not really. It's actually only at about 30% right now. And Idra using his drone to get as much information as possible. We've got warp gate. No. Uh-oh. That had to be a misclick. We got air. Maybe not. Air weapons level 1 researching out of the cybernetics core. That'll be pretty sweet.
Now, I would assume that there's some sort of crazy void ray cheese going, or maybe he really wants a strong mothership. I mean, I think that this is. I mean, this was really common in Brood War. The cybernetics core has a very special spin to it.
Yes, right, and you'd like fake the upgrade, but that's a more expensive upgrade than the warp gate. So even if you're gonna fake it, why wouldn't you do that with?
My guess is that he actually really does want that +1. Oh no. I'm at a loss for words, Wheat. I think he just misclicked and made the air weapons level 1.
I mean, what is the hotkey for that?
E.